Having said that, all of you have mentioned one way or another education and jobs as a very, very important priority. I'm going to ask the guy who graduated from Yale what he's got as a, oh, well, who graduated? Oh, he modestly never mentioned that. Representative Johanson, education. We are 47th in the state. If you're on the education committee, tell the people of Hawaii what you're going to do to make sure that we bump ourselves up a bit better than that.
Well, I think it entails, like we talked about, empowering and really setting our teachers and administrators up for success, as well as our students. And that means ensuring that we're providing them the resources necessary, as well as reducing some of the structural barriers to the effective delivery of education and educating our children. But that also means ensuring that there's accountability. And I think everybody, including the people who are part of the education system, want to know that there's some direct accountability, that all of their efforts are paying off and we're seeing results. And I also think, there are things that we can do, solutions that we can arrive at if we do pursue a full management audit of the entire Department of Education. Not in a gotcha kind of manner, but really in a genuine approach to find those areas that can be improved. I mean, if you think about it, any $2.1 billion corporation has a comptroller and is regularly going through audits and performance assessments to figure out how they can maximize their operations. And I think our children deserve no less. So there's myriad solutions really that we can employ to improve education. I think that's what the people want. I think that's what was underlying their approval of a change to our state constitution to an appointed board to ensure that direct sort of accountability in terms of management.
When do you think those new members of the board will be appointed by Governor Abercrombie?
I think
give us a prognosis, and then how effective you think it will be.
I think one of the first things that the legislature will end up pursuing in the beginning of the session is coming up with the enabling legislation that basically states in law how those members are appointed. Right now, our law is missing that critical step to determine selection and appointment process. And so until that happens, Governor Abercrombie, is essentially in a holding pattern. And so
will it make a difference?
I think it will, most definitely.
How so?
It'll make a difference if it's the right kind of appointment and selection process. If people genuinely follow through, if we as the legislature genuinely follow through on the intent to provide more clear lines of accountability and a more clear management hierarchy, then it can. If we choose to have a board that maybe is appointed, but still a reincarnation of a board that just sends mixed
signals. You guys
signals.
can jump in on this, but I want to say that everybody who's got a beef with their government comes to the Capitol here, and whether it's education or the economy or water rights or whatever, they come and knock and bang on our door on the committee tables, and for sure it's going to be the governor's table. As you know, the sit-ins when there was furloughs and what they did in the governor's office. So my sense is, my hunch is it's going to work. It'll take a little bit of fine-tuning and getting the institutional relations together, but I think when the buck stops in one place, it's more effective than when everybody's in charge. Really, nobody's in charge.
That's right.
And I think we got a good chance in improving education and making a real difference.
I think we got to be careful too to not hamstring the governor and future governors on the selection process. I think if the governor is going to be making the appointments, governor needs a clear process to choose who the governor sees fit. And then of course there is advice and consent from the Senate, so there are checks and balances. But if we go the other way, where the Senate is pre-picking and submitting to the governor to send back to the Senate, then I think that's going to not be an effective
I think what Representative
situation.
Riviere is saying here, that there may be a floor fight on a bill that says the Speaker will have a choice of 3 people, the President of the Senate would have a choice of 3 people, and then maybe the governor will come up and then pick who's already been pre-picked. And that's not the accountability that I think you and I are talking about, that we would like to be more effective. The governor picks, and then the governor is responsible, as a more clean-cut division of responsibility. So that may be something we're going to have to argue on the floor in a matter of weeks, actually.
And I think going back to his point too about the financial review of how the operation of the Department of Education is something that, you know, really needs to be done quickly. We cannot keep pouring more money into a system where most of the money is not ending up into the classroom. And I think that's really frustrating for parents and also for the teachers and the students, that there's not adequate dollars that are actually ending up in that classroom to help support teachers in the role of teaching. So I hope that all of our colleagues on the floor will agree with us. I know I have talked to a couple of them, and they seem to be in support of this concept of doing an independent financial review. And the word independent is very important. I would like to see it be done someone outside of state government, so that we get, you know, true accountability of somebody who's independent, looks at it fairly in a fair and balanced way, and presents a report. Here, this is the way you can fix this. You can save money here. Try looking at this process differently. Maybe here are some suggestions on how to deal with this particular procurement process. So,
something clean, objective, and maybe third party, where no one's going to say that it was
play
self-interest.
Politics or whatever. You know, we need it to be honest and fair.
What are other issues we're going to be debating on the floor? What about job creation? Everybody, and you know, Hawaii is hurting even less than the nation, but in terms of economic development, ideas that we're going to put forward as a caucus. Any of you got any ideas on some of those first things? First, incentives for small business. And let me put it this way. Government doesn't create jobs. The private sector does. But government is in a position now where I think some of the briefings that we've had, there's going to be 500 million plus shortfall, some have said, up to 750 million shortfall. So the job creation role, our responsibility, as I said, we're away from campaigning now. Now we're in the governance mode, and it's the business of having government, particularly keeping the health, safety, and in this sense, the economy alive and well. What are some of the economic things for stimulating the economy? You mentioned agriculture.
I just want to jump in on that and say that the role of government, I believe, is to provide a stable and level playing field so that business can prosper, so they know the rules are fair. And as long as there's an uncertainty about taxation or potentially increasing the cost of living, cost of business, cost of government, businesses are going to be reluctant to move forward. So I think the best thing that our legislature can do this session is be very diligent in trying to be transparent and reasonable, and really do everything we possibly can to balance the budget effectively and provide that a surety for long-term business health.
Gil, you remind me that over the last 3 decades, there's been a lot of money made, not only in the U.S. and in Hawaii, but in the world. And quite frankly, there's not a shortage of money out there, but it's exactly what you just said. The confidence level of investing that money, the sense that I'm going to be able to get it back, or it's not going to be taxed away or regulated away. My sense is, if we do take that enabling environment and allow the people to do what they do best in the private sector, we can turn the corner. It's going to be difficult because that confidence level is not there at the present time.